No warning, no sirens, no time to run, just fire from the sky moving faster than anything life on Earth had ever seen. 66 million years ago begins like any other day on this planet, with sunlight on forests, waves on shorelines, and giant animals ruling every corner of the land. There is no sign that this will be the last normal morning the dinosaurs will ever know. Birds glide overhead, plant eaters move in slow herds, predators stalk the edges of the trees, and the world feels unstoppable. And for once in Earth's history, that feeling is completely wrong. Worst weather forecast ever, by the way. Back then, nothing on land could challenge the dinosaurs. They were kings of strength, size, and survival. For over 150 million years, they survived ice ages, shifting continents, rising seas, and falling temperatures. They adapted, they endured, they thrived. If any group of animals looked unbeatable, it was them. But while life moves on below, something massive is already racing toward Earth from deep space. It is silent, invisible to the animals, and impossible to stop. A mountain-sized rock is screaming through the sky at tens of thousands of miles per hour, carrying enough energy to change the planet forever. The dinosaurs do not look up, they keep eating, they keep moving, they keep living like they always have, completely unaware that the clock has run out. This moment is calm only because no one alive knows what is coming next, and that is what makes it so terrifying. In the next moments, we will follow what happens when that object finally hits, how the planet reacts in minutes and hours, and why life across the world begins to fall apart. We will track how darkness spreads, how food chains collapse, and how even the strongest creatures ever to walk the Earth are pushed past the point of survival. Because the asteroid impact is only the beginning of this story, what comes after makes the explosion itself seem almost small by comparison. The asteroid hits with no slow buildup, no second chances. One instant the ground is solid, the next it is gone. The impact happens near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula, carving out what scientists today call the Chicxulub crater. The rock itself was likely about 6 to 9 miles wide, but it strikes so fast and so hard that it blasts a crater more than 100 miles across. The moment it hits, the energy released is beyond anything life on Earth has ever experienced. Rock melts, rock vaporizes. The ground behaves like liquid for a brief moment as shock waves race outward in every direction. The heat at the impact site becomes hotter than the surface of the sun. Anything within hundreds of miles is instantly erased. Forests do not burn, they flash into nothing. Oceans near the impact point explode upward into massive walls of water. Tsunamis begin to race across entire ocean basins. The shockwave moves through the air faster than sound, wrapping around the planet. Dinosaurs thousands of miles away may not see the impact, but they will feel the ground shake beneath their feet. Then comes the rain of fire. Molten rock blasted into the upper air begins to fall back down across the globe. Each piece burns as it rips through the sky, turning the atmosphere into a storm of heat and flame. In many places, this falling debris likely starts wildfires almost at once. The sky itself becomes dangerous. The day of impact is loud, violent, and fast. It is chaos in motion. And yet, as deadly as this moment is, it still does not fully explain how most life on Earth disappears. Some animals die instantly, many others survive the first day. They live through the shaking ground, they live through the fires, they live through the waves. For a brief time, it might seem like life will somehow push through again like it always has, but that hope does not last, because the most powerful weapon of this asteroid is not the blast, the heat, or the waves. It is what the impact throws into the sky. And in the next stage of this story, the sun itself is about to vanish.
After the firestorms fade and the ground finally stills, the real extinction begins in silence. The impact has hurled billions of tons of dust, ash, and vaporized rock high into the atmosphere, far above the clouds. This thick veil spreads around the entire planet, wrapping Earth in a dark shroud. Sunlight cannot pass through it the way it once did. Day becomes dim, then colder, then almost night. Scientists are still studying exactly how long this darkness lasted, but what is confirmed is that enough sunlight was blocked to shut down photosynthesis across much of the world. Plants can no longer make food, and when plants fail, everything built on them begins to collapse. Forests stop growing, leaves fall and are not replaced, grasslands wither, the base of the food chain breaks apart, and every creature that depends on it is pulled down with it. Plant eaters begin to starve first, their numbers drop fast, then the predators follow. The world grows quiet in a new way, not from explosions, but from hunger. At the same time, global temperatures drop. With less sunlight reaching the surface, Earth cools rapidly. Some studies suggest this impact winter could have lasted for months or even years, though the exact length is still being researched. Cold, darkness, and hunger combine into a non-stop survival test that most life simply cannot pass. Oceans also suffer. With sunlight blocked, the tiny plants that float near the surface and support ocean life begin to die off. As they vanish, marine food chains crash just like on land. Entire groups of ancient sea creatures disappear during this time. Even dinosaurs that escaped the fires and waves now face a slow and brutal end. A large body that once helped them dominate the world now works against them. Big animals need massive amounts of food, and now food is nearly impossible to find. Every day becomes weaker than the last. Every step costs more energy than it can give back. Some animals hide, some roam in desperate searches for anything edible, but the world they evolved for is gone. The planet is still there, but it no longer works the way it used to. And this is why scientists agree that the asteroid did not just kill with force. It killed by changing the rules of survival themselves. The sun is blotted out, the climate is broken, the balance of life is shattered. And yet, even with all this unfolding, the story is still not complete. Because the asteroid did not strike a healthy, stable world, Earth was already under stress before the impact ever happened. Long before the asteroid ever slammed into Earth, the planet was already struggling with powerful forces of change. For hundreds of thousands of years leading up to the impact, huge volcanoes were erupting in what is now India. These eruptions created what scientists call the Deccan Traps, one of the largest volcanic regions on Earth. Lava flowed again and again, covering massive areas of land. With every eruption, thick clouds of gas were released into the atmosphere, including carbon dioxide and sulfur gases. These gases can trap heat, cool the planet, and change weather patterns. In simple terms, Earth's climate was being pushed out of balance even before the asteroid arrived. Scientists are still debating exactly how much these volcanoes weakened life ahead of time. What is clear is that many ecosystems were already under stress. Temperatures were shifting, rain patterns were changing, oceans were slowly becoming more unstable. Some species were already shrinking in number before the final disaster struck. So, when the asteroid hit, it did not strike a strong, healthy world. It hit a planet that was already tired. This is why many researchers believe the extinction was not caused by one single event alone, but by a deadly combination. The volcanoes likely made many species more vulnerable, while the asteroid delivered the final blow. It was like pushing someone who was already standing at the edge. Still, the asteroid remains the main driver of the extinction. The timing between the impact and the mass die-off matches too closely to ignore. The dark skies, the crash of food chains, and the rapid loss of species all line up with the moment that rock from space struck Earth. The volcanoes made survival harder, but the asteroid made survival nearly impossible. Together, they created a perfect storm of destruction that reshaped the planet forever. The age of dinosaurs, which had ruled for over 100 million years, was now truly coming to an end. But even in a world filled with ash, cold, and empty landscapes, not everything vanished. Some life forms found ways to hold on through the darkest years Earth had ever known. And the story of who survived and why is what changes everything that comes next.
When the darkness finally began to lift and sunlight slowly returned, the world that emerged was almost unrecognizable. Around 75% of all species on Earth were gone. Every non-bird dinosaur had vanished. Creatures that once ruled the land, the sea, and the sky were now only fossils buried in silent layers of rock. But extinction was not the end of life's story. It was a hard reset, and in the empty space left behind, something new began to rise. Small animals were the true survivors of this shattered world. Tiny mammals that could hide underground, eat many different foods, and reproduce quickly had the best chances. Some birds made it through as well, direct descendants of dinosaurs that adapted to fly, nest, and survive on limited resources. Crocodiles, turtles, frogs, and other tough survivors clung to rivers and wetlands, where water helped protect them from heat and hunger. Plants returned too, thanks to seeds and spores that waited patiently in the soil. The planet began the slow work of rebuilding itself. Over millions of years, the survivors spread into the empty roles left behind. Mammals that once stayed small and hidden now had room to grow. They became larger, faster, and more diverse. New predators appeared, new grazers followed, forests returned, oceans filled with fresh life. The balance of nature slowly rewrote itself. And in time, one of those small mammals would give rise to a species that would someday dig up dinosaur bones and try to understand what happened. That species would be us. This is why the asteroid impact is not just a story about destruction. It is also a story about survival, adaptation, and second chances. A single day erased a world that had taken millions of years to build, yet from that loss came every bird in the sky, every large land animal we know today, and every human who has ever lived. In a strange way, our entire existence is tied to that moment of fire from the sky. We are here because the dinosaurs are not. The last day of the dinosaurs was not just an ending, it was a turning point for life on Earth. A quiet forest became an empty landscape became a new beginning, and from the ashes of disaster, the next chapter of life slowly, stubbornly, and incredibly began again.